Hi, everyone. I wanted to check in with everyone because I know the news about Chadwick Boseman's passing rocked everyone. It rocked me. After I got the news on Friday night, I just went to sleep. Like, I didn't have the energy to process it. And I woke up and really faced the news. And obviously, 2020 has been a year. I'll just leave it at that. And it's been a lot of change, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of loss. But it's also an inflection point. And one of the things I try to do when things kind of hit me in the gut, and I'm faced with, feelings of grief or sadness, is to really reflect on the lesson, because I'm one of those people who truly believe that there's a divine message in everything. And so today I spent a lot of time thinking about Chadwick's life, and more importantly, his choice not to let his cancer diagnosis define his life. And, you've heard the stories by now that, he was diagnosed in 2016. And in that span, I think he made like 9 movies. Some movies that were very physical. I know he did a lot of his own stunts in Black Panther. This is all while dealing with chemotherapy, surgeries, and the like, and also keeping this very, very big secret essentially to himself, that while he was bringing the world so much joy through the stories that he brought on to the screen for us, he himself was suffering. And I started to wonder, like, how can someone do that? But if you listen to a lot of the speeches and the talks that Chadwick gave, this is a man who is very deeply connected to his purpose, and he was very in tune. And to me, it seemed like he was fully dedicated to telling our stories, Black stories, in a beautiful way. Look at the body of work, Black Panther, which uplifted a people. We had our Black superhero. You saw us coming out to the movies in our African outfits and just had such a sense of pride, because unfortunately, being a Black person, especially in America, the media doesn't always portray the beauty that is Blackness. But Chadwick dedicated his life to telling our stories in such a beautiful way in his work in Marshall, telling the story of Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court Justice. In 42, the story of Jackie Robinson, and the fact that he passed on Jackie Robinson Day doesn't, it really shows how much life comes full circle. And Chadwick left us because he fulfilled his purpose. And a lot of these major deaths, and people who really change and rock the world, their time here is short because they get laser focused on what it is that they came here to do. And all of the stories I'm hearing from people who knew him intimately, he was just a light, and you could see it in his laughter and in the work that he did, and just how he brought and presented himself to the world. And so as I thought and reflected on his life, it really showed how your pain and your trauma does not have to define your story. Too often we get knocked down and we let that one moment in the span of our entire life redefine everything from that point forward. We were robbed, and so now we let the fear of someone violating us, someone robbing us, shape every little thing we do. We battle an illness, as Chadwick did, and then that becomes your defining story. But Chadwick chose not to share his illness because he knew that everything that he did then would be framed around, he's doing this while he's sick, or how is his sickness impacting him. Instead, he gave us a beautiful body of work, and we didn't even know what he was going through. But I understand that impetus, and I've faced something similar myself, and I understand not letting that define you. And so I want you to think about your life and think about the times where you got knocked down, and instead of dusting yourself off, getting up, reflecting on the hit that knocked you down, and pushing forward, where you just stayed down. And even though you had the strength within you, you just stayed down and you stayed in that rut. I want you to understand that the strength you need to pull yourself up out of that rut is already within you. And one thing that happened on one day in your life does not have to define your entire life. What you can allow it to do is be a driving force for something greater. A lot of times our pain and our struggles and our trauma are very closely linked to our purpose. And through those situations that we've experienced, we are able to then help others who are going through the same. That's why our stories are so important. That's why this whole, impetus to only show the perfection in our lives via social media is so deadly and damaging, because it's our stories, our authentic stories, that are going to change the world, because someone needs to hear that message. And so I want you to think about your life and what pain, what trauma, what incident in your life that you've allowed to replay in your head over and over and frame everything that you do. Can you instead use that as a driving force? Because when you are deeply connected to your purpose and you are aligned and working towards that purpose, that energy can transcend all pain. And when I think about how Chadwick could have gone through all of that, made all of those movies while battling such a nefarious disease, it's because he had that divine energy flowing through him that allowed him to press on, because he knew his time here was limited, and he knew he came here for a reason, and he remained laser focused on that reason. And so I'm so grateful that Chadwick didn't let that diagnosis define the rest of his life. Imagine if in 2016 he decided, how unlucky am I? God gave me cancer. Forget this, and I'm just going to focus on myself. We wouldn't have gotten so many beautiful movies. Think about what Black Panther did for so many kids, for so many adults. We wouldn't have gotten these things. But our lives are bigger than ourselves. We are all here in service of humanity. And the more that you understand that it's not personal, your journey, you chose this path before you were even born. Your journey is to help you learn the lessons you need to learn so that you can deliver the message that God sent us here to deliver, and to uplift the people that he sent us here to uplift. So I express tremendous gratitude to Chadwick Boseman for giving us such a beautiful body of work, for making Black beautiful in every way, and for being a light upon this world. These are the types of legacies that transcend time. And I hope that you find purpose in your pain. Don't let it be the reason you stay down. Let it be the reason you lift someone up. So, while this is a deeply sad moment, Chadwick is not defined by his death. He's defined by everything he did in his life. And that's what's so beautiful. And you learn to see death as just another part of the journey, and they pass on, and their spirit still remains, and it remains in his work, it remains in his family, it remains in every single person he inspired and touched. Who can you inspire and touch with your story? Who can you help with the knowledge that you've gained through your struggles? Don't let your struggles be your own. Don't let your struggles be the reason you stay down when God gave you the strength to not only get up, but transcend that pain and become a magnificent force of goodness in this world. Bad things happen to all of us. Let's be clear. But we can define what happens after that bad moment and what we do with that for the rest of our lives. So I'm sending so much love, light, and healing to anyone who is impacted by this loss. Try to find the light. No matter what's going on in this world, I know 2020 has been very chaotic, but there is divine purpose to everything. And I inspire you and implore you to find your light, because when everything seems dark around us, that's the time when the world needs your light the most. And so don't get bogged down in 2020 is the most awful year in the world. Focus on finding your light, because your light and my light and the next person's light can come together and illuminate the entire world. So be kind to each other. Send some love someone's way, because again, we didn't know what Chadwick was going through. So how many people in your circle that you may not know what they're going through. So I love you guys. Watch Black Panther, watch Marshall, watch 42, watch any movie that he's got out there. Show him, you know, that his work mattered, and we're very grateful for him. And I'm grateful for all of you that are watching. And I hope that you find your light, because I want to see it and the world needs to feel it. Take care. Bye.